opinion, is the retail market in Africa growing?
Yes, I definitely think so. I think because of globalization, the shift to online, the internet and social media, it allows consumers today to have access on a global scale to designers working. Designers are able to promote themselves in that way, and I think also key international figures have been promoting that and promoting diversity, which shines a light on African retail, including the likes of Edward Enfield, Beyonce, and the list goes on. So I think that's really propelling African retail. And I think in terms of marketplaces, they are certainly the future, definitely online marketplaces. I think it allows for emerging brands to join a platform together, and together they can scale up. And for consumers, this is great because they can have access to choice and diversity across that.
Mariatu, do you want to add anything to that?
I agree with Annie. Annie? Right? I agree with Annie here that yes, the retail market in Africa is indeed growing. If you look at anecdotal evidence, for example, when I started my business, I started on Etsy, the platform. And then if you had looked and if you did a search, for example, African brands, you would find very few. Now you fast forward today, what you're seeing is a plethora of African brands, and what is really exciting, you're seeing these brands located on the continent. Now, and if you look, there was a report done by the Financial Times, a special report which looked at African fashion creators and design. And one of the things that came out of that was that African fashion creators are thriving, and indeed that just buttresses the point, because as you see with increasing awareness, whether you look at what Black Panther did for African fashion, or you look at what's happening even on the continent with us creating platforms, for example, to showcase our work, that's creating not only global awareness but also global demand for the products. And I think what is really good about this is that despite all the challenges that you've already heard today, African fashion or African creatives facing, whether it's with regards to infrastructure or simple things like the shipping out of the continent, I think the potential is there that that they're going to continue growing, and with the free trade agreements, and once that gets rolled out, I guess, properly, that's going to create even more potential for retail businesses on the continent to grow.
That's interesting. I mean,
so you mentioned Spain's moving. If I take it back then to the messaging in Africa, Carmen, what do you think the messaging has been around African fashion, and how has that seeped into the subculture?
I think there's a lot, yeah, I said it before, it's a bit cliche and not as exciting, but I think there's a lot going on due to more transportation options, social media. A lot more people can do a lot of different things. So yeah, musicians, movies, people like Edward Enfield, everybody's contributing too. But I think more is going on, and it's more visible about what's going on. Because stuff has been going on for ages, but now it can reach wider audiences and people.
So, yeah, do you think they're setting the trend? Do you think that the street style or musicians like Wizkid and Davido, do you think they're trend setting the African fashion scene, or are you seeing that from other influential players?
I think that music and fashion are always like, to me they go hand in hand pretty well, because I was interviewing Darko Vibes, I would say musician from Ghana, and he said people want to look up, like normal people like ourselves, want to look up to artists. So dress and style is very important for us, and we have to put effort in it, because people will dress like Darko Vibes. He's one of the first guys who dyed his hair blue, so he bleached it in blue, and then like I see a lot of guys and girls now with blue and blonde hair, and I'm like, is it because of him, or is it like he's an artist and people are following him and they see what he's doing? So I think it goes hand in hand somehow. So I like it when artists are wearing local brands and do stuff. To add on to the supply, I was in Lagos, and on Instagram we found a very young upcoming brand, and my friend wanted one of the t-shirts saying I'm a Lagosian with a whole text in the back. So we DM'd the guy on Instagram, and he came to bring it to the place where we stayed. So we paid him in cash, just an Naira, and we got the t-shirt. I done the same with a sunglasses brand of a friend. she just sent a guy on a motorbike to bring it to me. I paid it to her with mobile money, and I had my items. So I think access and distribution is also helping to the growth of the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a trend we do see is not only are we seeing online platforms or e-commerces, but people communicating through WhatsApp. You know, there's a massive trend of WhatsApp groups being created, and people are, you know, peer-to-peer selling. So that's a really interesting story. Okay, I mean, we've spoke about street style. Let's flip it on the other hand. Luxury, Anita. It's probably your forte. What do you think is happening in the African luxury scene? Is there even a luxury scene in Africa?
Well, handmade is luxury, and Africa is luxury.
There we go.
Africa has been luxurious. It's not something that is new to us, it's something that we are born with. It's something that is being, we, other countries or different, they all have their resources. Luxury is part of our resources. It's quite sad that we have to see other people celebrate our luxuriness, if there's that any word, for us to now begin to appreciate what we already have. We have it. It's just that we are not making most of what we have. And we have to look at the likes of, let's say, Davido, to wear an African print that has already been there for decades. But because he is popular, then it will now influence the people that are there to now buy into the brand. But if Davido didn't wear it, the person will not sell it. Which is quite sad, because we have all these things here in Africa. We are capable of creating that. We have the resources there. But if somebody the likes of maybe Givenchy or Prada or Dior talks about Africa, then we all rise up and say, oh yeah, we're celebrating Africa. But Africa is there. It's there. We just need to tap into it more and celebrate it more. And not be ashamed of it. Because now Africa is the fashionable thing. The world is now putting Africa on trend. Africa is not a trend. It's not a trend. WGSN was supposed to be putting Africa on trend. We're not a trend. UK culture is not a trend. Asian culture is not a trend. We need to just honor what we have and celebrate it.
So one of the topics is tech, African tech. And we know, at the moment with the African, well, not just African, but the fashion tech scene, it's really been innovating and disrupting loads of markets. We've seen a rise in peer-to-peer rental companies to help kind of create more of a sustainable, circular economy. So my question to you, to everyone on the panel, is could you name me one really interesting brand or a tech product or something innovative that's disrupting the market that you think is going to be contributing positively to our community?
Maybe that's something.
Sorry. This point you did make about the WhatsApp, wasn't it? And there's also Safaricom, Bitpesa, doing mobile payments. That's really disrupted a market and allowed people who have before not had access to bank accounts to be able to buy and sell products. So, in your areas of expertise, is there something that is really disrupting your market and that's something of interest for people to be aware of?
Actually, business-wise, I think there should be an app developed that to make for their market in Africa that easier payments to be done. One of the things, I made an app for tailors called Tailors Club, that the tailors can register, and this way that people can find the best tailor in town and work with the tailors and sort of to increase more jobs for the tailors. But then it's not really getting successful because people don't know how their payments will be done properly, and we're still working on that. And so anyway, Africa is being run by tech, and this is one of the things, if it's going to be done to make easier for payments to be done for exporting, and what also you mentioned before, there's a tuk-tuk running to bring your product. So these are the kind of things that we should really structure more on the continent, that is delivery going on and payments that are really having transparency and not getting lost somewhere.
I don't know a future tech platform, but I know the way that we operate on AKOJO market, because we want to represent emerging brands from Africa. And we want to celebrate those starting small businesses that are trying to implement ethical and sustainable practices, and that takes a lot of resources. And so by creating a platform where we control the payments, where customers across, we only sell to the UK at the moment, so there's very sophisticated online shops now, you know, everywhere, and UK customers have an expectation when they purchase something. And I think by creating a platform where we take that burden off the small business emerging in Africa, where they can focus on, you know, hand embroidery, paying their workers fairly, but we can take that burden of payment and give that reassurance to that UK customer that that purchase is going to be made securely, and it allows us to work with now 23 brands on our site, and collectively all those brands can scale up together. So, yeah.
I'm going to speak from the jewelry side of it, because obviously there's a lot of fashion designers here, and then there's an organization that is formed for fashion designers, but as a jewelry designer that obviously celebrates the culture, I would love to have like an organization set up in Africa that links the jewelry designers, not fashion designers, because that's a totally different industry. Jewelry designers straight direct contact with manufacturers, local artisans that actually make materials in Africa. We have a lot of beads in Ghana that are made out of recycled glass. I mean, I would love to know designers, artisans that just work directly with them, not just to make the average bead or bracelet that is certain that they say, okay, it's made from Ghana. I want to now, a platform that can enlighten those artisans and say, okay, look, you know, these few pieces, we can use these beads, make not just simple piece jewelry, make something that is very bold, that could be exhibited in galleries and museums, and one day be housed in galleries and museums. So we need to have them, we need to have our work, we need to give those artisans the opportunity to celebrate themselves as well, because they're not just making, because what they're doing is art. They're collecting stuff and they're recycling them. So we need to have an organization that will link, not just designers like me, but across the world. We need that.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so questions. Checking so you to wrap up. Any questions? Gentleman over here. Is there a mic for this gentleman? Yeah. Great.
Thanks. It's Christopher Stokes, Global Organic Textile Standard. It wasn't a correction, it wasn't a question, more of a clarification. You made the statement that only natural dyes are permitted in organic processing. That's not the case with regards to the Global Organic Textile Standard, which allows with very strict hazard criteria prohibited.
Sorry, did anyone talk about that?
Yeah,
about the dye?
you mentioned the fact that organic involved natural dyes which may be more variable.
No, sorry, that wasn't me.
No, not you. Me, Carmen. And it was mentioned again earlier on, just to clarify, that the Global Organic Textile Standard permits chemical dyes with very strict hazard criteria to protect the environment, also strict social criteria as well. Just a point of clarification.
Okay, thanks so much. Questions? Any questions? Well, raise of hands if you thought that was interesting. If there was something within that, while this young lady answers her questions.
I'm very interested in the data and what SMIT is doing, which is detailed. I would like to know more how you come across this idea, is how the process you go through to select the designers working on to into your platform.
Me? You're talking to me?
Well, both of you. Apparently, you both of you have a platform where you join, you select, but you work more in the sourcing.
Okay, my platform basically her platform is a retail online?
Yeah, it was
yeah.
It was her impression, but still at the same time, okay, so you also work with her name?
Anyango.
Anyango.
So is the question, how do you select a brand onto the platform? Yeah.
So basically, she's working with Anyango. So Anyango is on the retail. My work basically is I go from country to country. So in 2015, I called up a competition in Kenya or East Africa. There were 100 applicants, and then chose from 35, reduced to 35 to 10, and then do a mentorship with 10 designers, and Anyango was one of them. And this mentorship goes through a year, and which basically is going from A to Z, as a designer into being into business of fashion, and through that they are ready to be on an international market, and then they come onto the platform. And that's how I work with the designers, and that's how I choose the designers.
So the way we find our designers has been really organic. My business partner and co-founder has 10 years of experience in business intelligence, advising retail companies, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa, on due diligence process and running an ethical supply chain. So naturally, she had come across a number of designers, and through that's opened up further doors. And since we have launched our site, we have a number of designers reaching out to us. We work with designers in Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Congo, and so the way it works in terms of how we select them, we have a registration process where we ask a series of quite rigorous due diligence questions and compliance as well. If we haven't actually physically visited the place, we get photographs, we ask where they source their materials, how things are made. Most of our designers are manufacturing their products locally in their towns that they're based in Africa, working with local workers. And so it's quite a laborious process, but it's definitely worthwhile, and as a result we get to know our designers very closely, and that's how we decide and get
Great. Thank you so much. Can everyone give a round of applause to our panelists? They should be staying around later during the networking, is that right? So if you guys have any further questions to ask them, feel free to grab them. Yeah. Thank you.